Hey everybody, Ted here. Bitter cold. Just another quick firewood video. Just wanted to do a quick video on some of the more common hardwoods that we use for firewood in the Northeast, and splitting characteristics and BTUs that they yield. All of my BTUs are done. I sourced them 3 or 4 times, and I come up with all the same numbers. Are all done by the cord. How many BTUs a cord throws out there. I don't have all of my common woods. I'm missing a couple. What I do have is cherry, wild cherry, black cherry, choke cherry, whatever you want to call that. I got red oak, sugar maple, or hard maple. I've also heard it referred to as rock maple. I got red bud maple, red maple, soft maple. It's also known as black locust. I have 1 piece left of unsplit white ash that's unsplittable because it's got a notch in it. I use it for holding logs. I have a piece of pignut or butternut hickory. I do not have a piece of shagbark hickory. That's as close as I got to that. And I have 1 piece of black birch. They're not the same size, so they're going to split different, but I'm just going to crack them open, and we're going to take a quick look at general characteristics of splitting them that I've noticed over the year. So as we do it, I'll put up a nice still for you with how many BTUs each one has, and per cord, and then we'll split them open. First thing I'm going to do is we're going to put each one of these onto the block and split them and see how they come apart. I'm going to start with the black birch. Black birch. I'm not going to give it like a crazy wallop swing. I'm going to give it somewhere upwards of 50%. I just want to see what they're all about rather than blast them. I want to get a better feel for the consistency. Maybe I can describe that to you. And I get it. This is an absolute science. Everything's different sizes, and they were all cut at the same time except for the ash, but it's not the point. Gray birch, flying apart. All right. Couple of noticeable characteristics. One is the smell of the gray birch. It smells like root beer, and it's a little bit pinkish in color. I hope the camera's picking that out. And this is a beautiful straight grain piece. You see it came flying right apart. And of course, or black birch, excuse me. And of course, black birch is, you can see, it's just got the dark bark, smooth, and the striations. So this usually splits really well, especially if it's straight grain stuff. It burns pretty good. It does leave a little bit of extra ash, has been my experience, more so than other woods. But there you go. Most notable thing about it is that it smells like root beer. All right. The pignut hickory. Smooth bark hickory, pignut hickory, butternut hickory. Now this ought to be fun because hickories have a tendency to be very ropey wood. If you ever split wood by hand, you know what I'm talking about. It's a very stranded material. That's why they use it for axe handles. That is a hickory handle on this picaroon. I'm going to be surprised if I get through this. I ain't as tough as I used to be now that I'm an old man. And it's only an 8-inch piece of wood, but it does want to hold together. It's been also my experience that the shagbark hickories are far tougher than these pignuts. So let's see what we end up with. Look at that. I'm going to attribute this to the fact that it's getting down right around 0 right now. and that's letting this hickory come apart. I'm really kind of impressed. Don't know my own strength. Let's take a quick look at this on the camera. Hickory has a very distinct smell. Should have grabbed that pickaroon. See how old I am? Hickory's got a tan color on the inside and a blonde sapwood. There's got to be a piece on here. You can see this is on the crosscuts. You'll see there's these dotted lines around the edge on a lot of the logs. And then you'll also see a lot of lines of woodpecker holes. I don't think there's any on this log, but that's kind of pretty common for hickories for whatever reason. Let me see if I got one here. No, it's pretty common for hickory. Good Burnham wood, usually tougher to split, but again, it's really cold, and it's always been the old adage that if you want to split hickory, split it when it's cold and use an axe, not a maul. Makes it a lot easier. But nice tan color and Hardwood, blonde sapwood. This is one of my favorite woods to burn. Black locust. Black locust. The most notable thing about burning it is it smells like feet, like dirty feet when you burn the bark. It does burn really well. It's got like a really weird characteristic when it's cured really well, aged, dried, whatever you want to call that. It becomes very, very hard, and it burns a very long time. And that's what I like about it. And it's also relatively light. As a construction material for fence posts, you can't beat the stuff. It takes forever to deteriorate, lasts longer than pressure-treated lumber. I've used it on fences my entire life, and I don't think that any of the fences I put up, even when I was a kid, have deteriorated yet. Usually it splits very nice, especially if it's straight grain. And the characteristic thing about locust is it's got a yellow-green color. It's got like a really, I don't know what the smell is. I always associate it with lemon and summer storm damage. In particular hurricanes, because they seem to blow over along the coastal regions when we get called out to do hurricane service out in the coastal regions. But good Burnham wood. It's got that yellow-green in it. That's how you can tell what it is. It's got a very thick bark, and again, the bark smells like old feet. Got the redbud maple, soft maple, red maple. Not the best burning wood. Soft maples, they burn fast, they dry nicely, they burn fast. This has a couple knots in it, so they might give me a little bit of a hard spot to go through, but we'll see. We're just going to crack it open. It's a little bit bigger log. It's about a foot in diameter. Like I said, it has a knot on both sides, so what I'm going to do is got one here, one there. This is a turtle back, and the other side is where a branch was cut off. I'm just going to split it down the middle. Across that should avoid those. But it's a soft wood, and it's a chewy wood. If you put it in a chipper, even when it's sharp, you can tell it's like got a, I don't know how else to explain it other than a chewier texture than a lot of other woods. There you go. See that maul go sinking right in there? And these are inline cracks. And it took 3 of them on this little log. Now with the soft maples, you get a lot of this kind of striation in them, and a lot of different shades throughout. They're not like the hard maples. They do have really pretty, when you mill them though, you can see how that's wavy. They do have really pretty figure in them. So if you have a chainsaw mill and you come across one, especially a large one with crotches, you really might want to break that open with your mill and see what comes out of it, because it does yield a lot of very pretty lumber. Let's try and go through this knot right around it. Okay, here's a prime example of the grains changing with a knot hole, or where a branch goes in, and you can see how that holds on. But this is a very soft wood. Once you get these in half, usually they do come flying right apart. It's breaking the egg, so to speak, getting the round broken. That usually gives people a hard time. Now I just split that knot onto its own piece. Now I'm just like barely smacking it. I'm gonna try and go right down the middle of that other knot on the other side, where the limb is. See, that just stick them right up. There you go. This is why you avoid knots. Still coming apart nice and easy. I do attribute a lot of that to the fact that it's really cold. But again, you can see the waves in it. All right, we're going to skip the ash. Everybody split ash and knows it's hero wood. Go right to the sugar maple, the rock maple. One of my favorites to burn. Sugar maple. In fact, the BTU values of sugar maple or rock maple or hard maple, whatever you want to call it, are exactly the same as red oak. I just kind of like the smell better. It does smell nice. Sugar maples are the predominant maple sugar tree in the Northeast, and usually straight grain stuff splits really nice. That's it. There we go. Now, you know, nice and tight that grain is. This tree was taking a long time to grow. Hope the camera's picking up. You get tiny little rays in here. This would have been a beautiful piece of lumber to mill. But you can see something's going on down here because the grains are taking off in a different direction. But sugar maple, it does sometimes have brown hearts. When they're smaller, they tend to be more consistent. And like this in white, hey, a little bird buddy. So, splits very nicely. Lovely to burn. Super hard. So when you go to hit it with a maul the first couple of times until you start getting it cracked, sometimes you just like bounce off it. It's used for a lot of tractor trailer floors, and that is because of the hardness. It's also why they call it rock maple. It's hard to scar when it dries. I mean, it gets stiff, and it does not want to give it up. That was tiny smacking. There you go. But great wood to burn. Smells good. Great lumber. The old standby, everybody's favorite, red oak. Not a knot in it. Red oak. Oak usually just splits so beautifully. It's not even there. It does have a dowel in it where there used to be a branch. You can see right here, you see the grains go around it, but beautiful, tight, straight grain wood. Oak is the standard. Smells like vinegary urine. You hear them called piss oak sometimes. Pardon the colloquialism, but it just splits so nicely though for you. This is just the kind of wood you're splitting by hand you want to get your hands on, because I'm just dropping the weight of this maul on it, and this is an 8-pounder, so we'll drop it from like here. That's not even forcing it, that's just gravity, and it's just flying apart. And of course, oak is heavy wood relative to other woods. So that's something to keep in mind. And the last log we have is a wild cherry, black cherry, choke cherry, whatever you want to call it. Okay, we got cherry. One of my favorites to burn because the smell has a tendency to be difficult to split because it's got a tight grain and wavy grain. They very rarely grow really nice and straight for you. All of these logs have been down for like maybe 4 weeks. Let's see, it's a lighter wood. You don't get the BTUs you want out of it, but it smells great. And when you put it in the stove and you go outside, it smells great outside. So let's see how she goes for us. Yeah, you'll see when it comes apart how it's got like a different kind of, I hope the camera picks this up. You see all these little separate strands. It's kind of like a weird, it's almost like the grains interweave, but it does smell. It smells like a cherry candy. Anyway, one of my favorites to burn. Beautiful to mill, except for around here when we get them. Usually we get these things in them. There's let's see if we come across yeah, there's one right here. There's these little pits of a red sap that kind of ruin the quality of the lumber. You get some unique stuff out of it, but it's not something that like a buyer's going to buy if you have a lot of it from around here. They don't like it. It's like the we have a line for the white pine where the white pine isn't white, it's really red, and the buyers like to devalue your logs for those too. So yeah, this is even a better example. I hope you can see like how rough it is. So because when it splits, you see like it's like splitting in a polyolithic manner, like a lot of different layers rather than that one clean, like most straight grain woods. So that's it for the wood splitting video. All of the BTU information's there in the captions for you, so you can go back and review it when I introduce the logs. And hope you enjoyed that. Hope you learned something. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. And I'm going to get this stuff put away because it is winter. It is cold out here now. I want to go inside and put this stuff on my fire.